Jesus wept. 2 words. That is the entire verse. John 11:35, the shortest verse in the entire Bible. Most people have read past it 1,000 times without stopping, without asking the only question that actually matters. Why? Why did God cry? He already knew what he was about to do. He had said it clearly just minutes before, standing outside the tomb. I am the resurrection and the life. He knew Lazarus was coming out of that cave. He knew the story ended in triumph, and he wept anyway. Stay with me, because buried inside that detail is something that will change how you understand who Jesus actually is. The town is Bethany, a small village 2 miles outside Jerusalem, and a man named Lazarus, a man Jesus loved, has been dead for 4 days. The body has already started to decay. His sister, Martha, said it plainly when Jesus asked them to move the stone. Lord, by this time there is an odor. 4 days. No ambiguity, no coma, no miracle of resuscitation. This is a dead man. His sister, Mary, falls at the feet of Jesus. She is weeping. The people around her are weeping. And the Gospel of John says something quietly extraordinary. Jesus was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. The Greek word is embramaomai. It means an emotion so strong it groans. It is not a gentle sadness. It is anguish that moves through the chest and into the throat. And then John writes the 2 words, Jesus wept. The Greek here is edakresin, a quiet word, tears falling from the eyes, not the loud sobbing that comes later in Luke. This is private grief. Standing in front of a tomb, surrounded by mourners, God, in human form, allows himself to cry. Here is what most people miss. He is not weeping because Lazarus is dead. He knows Lazarus will live again in 4 minutes. He is weeping because the people around him are weeping. He is weeping because grief is real, because death is an intrusion into the world he made. Because when you are in pain, it matters to him, not as a fact to be corrected, but as a wound to be felt. Thomas had said it to the other disciples on the road to Bethany, with the soldier's fatalism, resigned to the worst. Let us also go, that we may die with him. These people were afraid. These people were grieving. And Jesus does not skip past their pain to get to the miracle. He stops, he weeps, and then he raises the dead. But there is a second time Jesus weeps, and almost nobody preaches about it. It is Palm Sunday. The crowd is electric. People are throwing cloaks on the road. Branches are being cut from trees. Children are shouting. This is the moment the disciples have been waiting for. The triumphal entry, the king arriving at his capital city, the revolution finally beginning. And Jesus, riding a donkey down the slope of the Mount of Olives, looks out over Jerusalem, and he breaks down. The Greek word Luke uses here is not edakresin, the quiet tears at Lazarus' tomb. The word is eklausin. It means loud weeping, audible sobbing, the kind of grief you cannot hide and cannot stop. While the crowd around him is cheering, Jesus is crying so hard that Luke stops the entire scene to tell you about it. Pay attention to this. He says, and Luke records it word for word, if you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes. He can see what is coming, not as a distant prophecy, as a vision so specific it breaks him open. He sees the Roman armies. He sees the siege walls built around the city. He sees the children. He sees the temple, that breathtaking structure Herod spent 46 years building, the pride of every Jewish heart. he sees it burning. The historian Josephus, writing in his account of the Jewish war, describes what happened to Jerusalem in 70 AD in terms almost too painful to read. Over 1 million people dead. The temple destroyed so completely that Jesus' own words came true. Not one stone left on another. Survivors sold into slavery. A city that had stood for 1,000 years gone. Jesus saw all of it, riding on a donkey, surrounded by people waving palm branches who had no idea what was coming. And he wept loudly enough that Luke had to write it down. Here is what strikes me. He is not weeping for himself. He knows what Jerusalem will do to him in 5 days. He knows about the arrest, the trial, the nails, and he is not weeping over that. He is weeping over the city, over the people, over what they are about to lose because they did not recognize the moment they were standing in. This is not the grief of a victim. This is the grief of a father watching his child walk toward a cliff, unable to stop them. And there is one more moment of weeping, one that almost nobody talks about. It happened in the dark, with no crowd, no disciples watching closely, no one to record it except the sound of it echoing off the olive trees in a garden called Gethsemane. We will get there. But first, you need to understand what the writer of Hebrews says about that night, because he says something that should stop you cold. Hebrews 5:7. Write it down if you have to. During the days of Jesus' life on earth, he offered up prayers and petitions with loud cries and tears to the one who could save him from death. Loud cries and tears. The writer of Hebrews is not being poetic. He is describing something that actually happened. A night in a garden when the Son of God pressed his face to the ground and wept so hard that his body responded in a way doctors have a name for. Luke records it in his gospel. His sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. The medical term is hematidrosis, a rare but documented condition in which extreme emotional or physical stress causes the tiny capillaries around the sweat glands to rupture. The body begins to sweat blood. It has been recorded in soldiers before battle, in prisoners before execution, in people carrying a weight so unbearable the body itself begins to break. This happened to Jesus in a garden, alone. He had asked 3 of his disciples, Peter, James, John, to stay awake with him, to sit nearby, to simply be present while he prayed. And they fell asleep, all 3 of them, 3 times. So he prayed alone, and he wept alone. Loud cries, says Hebrews. The word implies repeated, prolonged crying, not a moment of emotion quickly controlled. A long night of it, the kind of weeping that exhausts you, the kind that leaves you hollow. He prayed the same prayer 3 times. Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. He was asking for another way. There is nothing more human than that sentence. Standing at the edge of the worst moment of your life, asking if it is really necessary, asking if the cost is really this high, asking just once, just quietly, if there is a door you have not seen yet. And the answer was silence. And he wiped his face, and he stood up, and he walked toward the torchlight coming through the garden gate. Now watch what happens next. 3 moments, 3 kinds of tears, and they are not the same. At the tomb of Lazarus, Jesus wept quietly, because your pain matters to him, even when he already knows the end of your story. Over Jerusalem, Jesus wept loudly, because he grieves the choices we make that lead us away from peace, even when he cannot force us back. In Gethsemane, Jesus wept alone, because there are places in the human experience so dark, so private, so unbearable, that the only way to reach you there was for him to go there first. This is what the writer of Hebrews means when he says, "We do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weakness." The word in Greek is sympathio, to suffer alongside, not to observe suffering from a distance, to enter it. He entered it. Every grief you have carried in the dark, he carried one too. Every prayer you have prayed that felt like it went nowhere, he prayed one too. Every time you have wept and felt like no one was watching, someone was. 3 takeaways. And the last one is the one that matters most. First, Jesus does not rush past your pain to get to your miracle. He stops. He weeps with you. That is not weakness. That is love with skin on. Second, there are consequences to rejecting peace when it is offered. Jerusalem is a warning, not just a history lesson. When God holds something out to you, forgiveness, restoration, a way through, the moment is real. Do not let it pass unmarked. Third, and this is the one I want you to carry with you, the night in Gethsemane means you are never alone in the dark. Whatever you are facing right now, whatever you are weeping over in private, whatever cup you are asking God to take from you, he has knelt on the same ground. He has prayed the same prayer. He knows the weight of it in his chest. And he got up, which means you can too.